I'd like to share a little bit about RPAG for any of those on the line who may not be as familiar with who we are. At RPAG, we're a practice management platform that helps retirement plan specialists, broker dealers, RIAs, aggregators, anyone in the industry with building their business. We combined knowledge and experience of nearly 20 years in the industry and in the business, innovation through our technology, through our resources and solutions. And ultimately, we want to help advisors grow, whether it's maintaining their book and letting that grow, or going out there and having more time, efficiencies, and better weapons to go out there and grow their business. Today, we look at ourselves in 3 channels. We have wonderful service and support, more than just that technology platform, whether that's onboarding, our customer success team, the ongoing training and support, our practice management consultants, our conferences and events, lots of service and support for our members. We want advisors to help differentiate themselves with unique solutions. So whether that's our WellSense Financial Wellness, our FlexPath Target Date and CIT suite, our marketing collateral that we have, we want advisors to differentiate themselves and be competitive in their marketplace. And of course, our technology helps advisors with scale and efficiency each and every day in their practice. And what that's amounted to is our members have nearly $1 trillion in assets under influence across our network, over 9 million participants served by those advisors across 100,000 plans. We are by far the largest group in the industry. We span all sorts of broker dealers, independent advisors, RIAs. We have a long history of innovation, whether it comes from our first product, our scorecard system, our top-rated investment due diligence platform. We've been doing benchmarking and fee benchmarking for over 15 years, over 17 years, really. Started with our B3 provider analysis back in 2005. And over the decades, we continued to innovate, grow, and launch new products and services, really anything an advisor needs. And we're really excited about our latest tool called RFP Express. The technology is just one aspect of why advisors join us, right? That's ensuring having all tools under one roof. We want advisors who are serious about their growth, need those competitive differentiators, and we provide them with the back office support that they need. So that's enough about RPAG and who we are. Let's talk about our fee benchmarking suite, some of the challenges that advisors face while benchmarking their plans and providers. First, let's talk about what ERISA states and what are the best practices when it comes to fee benchmarking. So ERISA states that you have to determine all available services for a plan, and that a provider's assumed responsibility is documented and seen. Advisors need to evaluate fees of any services and investments that are offered, and you monitor the level and quality of services investments, right? We all know that as advisors. From a best practices perspective, what should advisors be doing to account for those ERISA requirements, right? So it's really important for advisors to establish and follow a prudent process. You want to monitor, document, and understand fees and have that documented. Getting proposals and getting individual proposal sheets from the various providers out there is good, but it's not really a documented process. And it's not regulated. If you're not doing it continuously, then you potentially put yourself out there. You need to conduct regular benchmarking of fees, right? We'll talk about some of those best practices and from a timing perspective, and then be aware of opportunities to renegotiate the cost. That's also important when you have an established process, an established report, getting especially live bid benchmarkings and RFPs. That gives you more fuel and more documentation to go back to the current provider and document. Throughout our history of running these RFPs and having this technology, we've always talked about how the goal should never really be to move the plan, but to give you power to renegotiate with the current provider if they're happy with it, and hopefully stick with the current service provider. But if that's not the case and they're not willing to negotiate, you have live bids and potential providers that can provide those fees, investments, and services at a more enhanced level. So let's talk about the conundrum, right? The benchmarking challenges. It is a cycle. It starts with the fee disclosures. Advisors need to determine reasonableness, but really the challenge is, what does reasonable mean, right? That could be the cheapest, but not really. It's about balancing the fees, investments, and services. It's really important. It's one of the 3 F's, right? Funds, fees, fiduciary. In our view, it's best practices to benchmark annually, right? Going in for that annual checkup and then going in for the full body scan, the live bid RFP every 3 years. And then that cycle continues itself. Right, so we look at it in 3 areas. This is type of technology that we try to provide that advisors can do, right? So you have the general benchmarking. That's going to be your annual fee benchmarking, your advisor fee benchmarking, really general to the averages, to the industry. Then you have proposals, right? This is going to be something quick. Oftentimes in the sales process, maybe you're poking around to seeing what's out there. Maybe it's outside of the cycle that you provide for your clients every 3 to 5 years. And then you have provider search, right? So we used to categorize this as benchmarking versus RFP. We see this now more as proposal versus provider search, right? It's important continuously, it could be every 3 to 5 years or every 2 to 4 years, depending on your client size. You want to look at and say, hey, we're going to get some proposals. We're not intending to move. You're happy with your current provider. But when it comes to a provider search, this is where you take it to the next level and you say, hey, you know what? We are not happy with the current provider's fees, investments, or services, or any combination thereof. And we want to take the plan out to market. And you need a system or systems that are connected, that are integrated, that are going to provide you with any one of these, right? From an annual basis, from an ongoing basis, or with provider searches as needed. So let's talk about the tools that are out there in the industry. So I call this the benchmarking spectrum. I love talking about this. I've been in this space for over 13 years working with advisor technology and seeing everything out there under the sun. I look at it in a few different spectrums, right? On the x-axis, you have, is it time intensive or is it fast? How fast are you going to be able to produce a report and give it to your client? On the y-axis, it's going to be value. You're going to have from is it high value? Is it low value? Right. Quadrant number 4. This is interesting, right? This is the really fast, but probably low value to your client. It's really easy to use, but doesn't really lead to any real desired results of conversations that you're trying to have. Right. On the far end of that is Googling what are the average fees out there for 401k. Or, what we see, really, it's out there. A lot of advisors use it. It's the 401k book of average. It's really easy. Does it give you the great results that you're looking for? Not really. In quadrant number 3, this is the very time intensive. It's a good report and doesn't actually lead to change. So it's not very high value. And there are in-depth tools, benchmarking tools out there that require dozens and dozens of data points, but don't actually have the proposals or the live bid aspect to it. And those aren't going to lead to the results that you're looking for. So you have quadrant 1. This is probably the most commonly used practice of most advisors. Very time intensive, but very high value. It leads to the results that you're looking for, whether it's benchmarking the plan, getting a full diagnostic, having that process, or even moving to a new provider. But it often takes up way too much of your own time. Right, so this is custom spreadsheet. Most advisors that I talk to who are joining RPAG or are talking to out in the industry, this is what they're doing. They're using custom spreadsheets. They're laying proposals out. They're coming up with their formulations. It's working great. It works great for them. But however, it takes up a lot of their time. So if you have 50 plans and you have 15 provider analysis, you have 15 RFPs to do this in every single year. This is going to take up a lot of time. It could take 20 to 40 hours of your own time to be spreadsheeting, going back and forth with providers. So, we look at technology that's going to help with that. Our own provider analysis tool used to be called the B3. This is our live bid RFP. It falls into this category. It veers more towards the center, I would say, but a very high value, very accurate, very robust. It still is somewhat time intensive, but not a lot of work from the advisor side. It's just back and forth through the system, capturing the proposals, but it could take 5 to 10 or 15 business days, depending on how much back and forth you have. But it really leads to the results that you're looking for. But quadrant 2, this is the holy grail. You get the desired results, but doesn't take up too much of your time to produce. We focus a lot of our time as how can we move all of our tools and technology, not just in the benchmarking space, into the spectrum. This is RFP Express. This is the tool that we're launching shortly. This is what we think you're getting the high value, and this is what it's designed to do, is bring you that same value as the provider analysis, side by side, fees, investments, and services, but be very, very fast, not take as much time. We're talking either instantaneously or 2 to 4 business days. And then you also have our Prism and Prism 365, the PlanFees reports. These aren't for live bid. This is for your annual fee benchmarking. Gives you those great results. Takes about 2 minutes to create each report. So that does give you that holy grail of very high value and very fast and very streamlined. Right, so this is the fee benchmarking suite, the provider analysis that we've had for well over a decade. Industry-leading live bid RFP, 100 top providers, side-by-side fees, investment services, customized proposals. We have the PlanFees, Prism, and Prism 365. These have been launched really within the last 2 or 3 years. Extremely popular, tens of thousands of reports created on these 2 tools. Really been 2 of our most popular tools of all time, rolled out at RPAG. And then launching soon, we have our RFP Express. This is the streamlined proposal tool where we have all top providers in there. It's not going to have the 100 plus providers of the RFP, but it has that same design language as the provider analysis. It looks at fees, investments, and services in a side-by-side manner, but it's really the best of both worlds. The user experience and time of the PlanFees tool with the side-by-side RFP experience of the provider analysis, but definitely trends to more of the timing standards it takes for the PlanFees compared to the timing of the provider analysis. Right, for those not familiar, provider analysis, highly detailed, over 500 data points, 100 plus providers, very, very popular tool, over 5,000 reports created annually. You can dial it up, dial it down. There's a lot of customization to it. You can cut out the investment portion of it. You can show a custom mapping. You can let the provider put a mapping in there. We've really thought of every permutation of this tool, but it could take 5 to 10 business days to turn around. And we do suggest that you do this on a new relationship with your clients or every 3 to 5 years. But it's very robust, and that's why we've created RFP Express to fit that gap. PlanFees, right? Prism 365. Prism is the annual fee benchmarking, looks at investment, record keeping, advisory, administrative costs, and it shows it to the low, average, and high based off of the RPAG benchmarking universe. Very, very easy to run, has some great customized features to it too. And the Prism 365 is an advisor fee and service benchmarking report. It's the only report I know of that actually looks at service frequency, and that is the biggest determination of fees that I know for advisors. Over 50,000 reports have been created in the past year on this tool, so very, very popular, very easy to run for all of your clients on an annual basis or every 3 to 5 years for your advisor fees. Right, but now we have RFP Express. So it's the ease and timing of PlanFees with the apples to apples format of provider analysis. Easiest way to explain it for any of those RPAG users out there. If you're not an RPAG member today, think of it like a true car shopping experience if you've ever used that tool. It includes 338 products, PEPs, MEPs, and various products from all the top providers out there. It takes a few dozen data points, on the service perspective. So not the 25 to 30 pages of provider analysis, but still shows service capabilities and quality of all the providers. We do expect there to be about 10 or 1,000 or more reports created on this. Huge opportunity. Providers, that's why, with our distribution, what we have at RPAG, our quality of tools, that is why our provider partners are so willing to work with us, especially with the instant quote capabilities that we see. This is going to be a very, very popular tool. Not only is it going to have express or instant quotes, but you can also get a custom quote from providers. So it has a little blend of that, not just instantaneous quotes. So it could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 24 hours or 2-day turnaround, depending if you're going instant or custom. And this is going to be very popular in the sales process for new business. But also, if you have smaller business that you don't want to go through that full live bid RFP on provider analysis, and you want to look at this every 3 to 5 years for them and provide them with that RISA mandated best practice documentation and process, this is a popular tool for that. So let's share a little bit about RFP Express before we get into the demo. All right, we want to save time in the sales process. Really why we built this is that over the years, advisors love our provider analysis RFP tool. However, when you're talking to a prospect, we've never recommended going through the provider analysis with a prospect. It's very time intensive, and your time is very, very valuable as an advisor. So we go through other manners, show them a sample or get hired on a project basis if the plan's big enough. But we said, advisors still want to show that they need you need as much firepower as you can going into these sales situations. So we want to create this tool to save you time in that sales process. And we want to give your time back so you can go out there and continue to prospect, continue to service, or have better work-life balance. It's kind of the ethos that we have at RPAG and everything that we do. We want to enhance the operational efficiencies in client servicing for those small business. And we want you to leverage the available technology that we're building and innovating on each and every day at RPAG. So RFP Express, right? Instant proposals from all top providers. It'll help you fulfill those fiduciary responsibilities under ERISA and those best practices. It solves those current challenges, right? Especially with PlanFees, having an annual fee benchmarking and an ongoing RFP every 3 to 5 years. And it produces accurate on-demand revealing proposals, whether it's an annual basis, advisor fee, or these RFP Expresses. Really cool, right? PlanFees is a product of RPAG. We have many users who just utilize the PlanFees portal only. We have many advisors who are doing everything for their retirement plan practice through RPAG. No matter which portal you're utilizing, you can use RFP Express. There's some great advantages when using RPAG for your practice management platform because all the data that you're currently doing, integrating with the record keepers, running your quarterly investment reports, plan reviews, everything else, it has a direct connection with the RFP Express system. From a workflow perspective, and we're going to show this on the demo, really, really easy, about a dozen or so data points. Most of those data points, if you're using RPAG, are going to be in the tool, in the system, so you don't even need to do much or any data entry at all. And based off of the plan parameters, it'll show the providers out there who have instant quotes and who have custom quotes. The providers will get a notification if you're used to using our provider analysis. It will be very similar to what you've seen out there, but you don't have to generate it. And it'll send it to them and say, hey, you know what? Joe Advisor has included your provider, your record keeper, in an instant quote for this plan. Here's the parameters. That provider will have the opportunity to sharpen their pencil a little bit and cut and refine that quote if need be, if they want to make it more competitive in the situation, or they may not, right? Or they say, hey, you know what, this is great, that it's right on point. They've set up their pricing matrix in the back end, and they just and you can be off and on your way. Building the report is very easy. If you've ever used a report within RPAG, you'll recognize this. We've even made it a lot easier. Once you select the providers, you'll be able to organize them. Look at those proposals. You'll see if someone is refining it or providing you with a custom quote. Order the providers, hit download. Very, very simple process. Report out there. If again, the design language of the report, the layout is very similar to the provider analysis, but much more streamlined. You're taught with disclosures and that it's more of a 15-page report instead of a 65-page report. Very, very easy. So ultimately, we're going to hop into a demo and then Q&A. No matter what your need, the RPAG benchmarking suite has a solution for you, right? So whether it's annual fee on Prism using the Prism 365 on PlanFees, or the advisor comp through PlanFees, that just takes minutes to create. If you're looking for just a service provider, a service comparison, in the real early stages of a client asking what's the difference between the current provider and other ones, you can just spend minutes and show a service database and customize that down from a handful of data points to 500 data points. We have a new cybersecurity review, same process. You want to show current provider versus alternative providers in their cybersecurity database. Lisa Conti and team have gone out and have over 100 data points on just cybersecurity. Then when you say, hey, I do want to show a proposal to a prospect or to a smaller client, this is where RFP Express comes in, fits that gap, that middle ground between the annual and the full RFP. We have the Express quote, so you can either have it instantaneously within 5 minutes, you're out the door showing a side-by-side comparison, or you can get custom quotes, and all providers are going to show that within 24 to 48 hours, oftentimes much sooner than that. But if you do have more time, you have a larger plan, more complex, provider analysis is still there, still an industry-leading tool. It could take 5 to 10 or even some more business days, depending on the complexity and what you need. And that has flexibility too. You can show fees and services with no fund mapping. That might be a little quicker, or full fee and investment benchmarking with the fund mappings, and that might take a little bit more time. So whatever your needs are, we have a tool for you. We're developing and taking feedback and enhancing these tools. So that's enough of the overview of the tool. We're going to move on into a demo of the platform, and I'd like to introduce Lisa Conti, who's our RFP team manager, and she'll be taking us through that. So take it away, Lisa.
Thanks, Jesse. And just a little background on myself. I have been here with RFP the last 5 years, running reports, proposals, working with our providers. So I'm really excited. As you can imagine, we run a couple hundred of these internally ourselves. So having this additional tool, a more streamlined tool to have an impact in those numbers, we're really excited internally to launch. So I'm happy today to show you the demo. And as Jesse set up for us here on our screen, we are in our PlanFees environment. You will have a quick link where you can click in to be able to access RFP Express through your plans and prospects that you already have set up. Otherwise, you start here in PlanFees. You'll go ahead and click Start Report, and we'll work through the couple data points that are required. As you see here, my sample client is already filled in. If we've entered our data in RPAG already, this data will pull through for us. So we can save even a couple, we have maybe 8 steps here that we have to respond to. We can save ourselves a couple clicks by having that data input if it's information already been provided. But the data that we're looking for, we've worked with the record keepers to find out what do they require from a plan pricing perspective. And those are the fields that we're looking for. So we'll capture both the client name, your plan name, you'll name your report. We're looking for the client location, who the current provider is, as well as the total plan assets, if the plan is currently bundled or unbundled, the plan type, here being 401k plans, as well as the advisory fee. You can structure it either as a percentage or a flat fee amount. When we move forward, just a couple additional data points required for providers to accurately price the plans and pull in their pricing grids. We capture the cash flows for the plans, so the contributions and the distributions, as well as the number of participants. So here we have, again, our sample plan. We're looking at $1 million bundled plan with 10 participants. If you needed to update any of these demographics, this is your page to come in here and be able to make those updates. If not, you just go ahead and click next. And we're already at the step of getting ready to get our quotes. Our quotes will show up in the 2 areas. So any providers that have set instant quotes available, if your plan is based on the parameters of 1 million, 10 participants, the cash flows, if those are a fit for the pricing scenarios that they've provided, you'll be able to have the instant quotes appear here. If the scenario is not a fit for what they have their instant quotes available, down here you'll have the option to request those custom quotes. On this page, there's a couple additional filters. You can go ahead and select the providers if, as we continue to build. This is just our demo, so we only have a couple on here for you, but as the page grows and loads, if you want to just select alphabetically which providers you want to include, you have that option here. We also added some additional filters based on the plan, the provider information that we know. So if you want to focus on providers that say have plans with assets at least of, $100 billion, you can narrow that. And through the service information we know about our providers, those will be limited based on either their assets under management, or you can say, hey, I want providers that have at least 10,000 plans. Some other filters, if you would like to look at bundled only solutions or unbundled only solutions, you can filter through those. And a new feature that we're really excited that our RFP Express tool will work with is not just traditional 401k plans, but we can actually build providers products such as exchange, PEPs, or MEPs. Our tool will have the capability to add those additional players and components to be able to get quotes for those specific product types. So from here, you just go through, you check off who it is that you would like to include. You can include a mix of the instant quotes, or if you have the time and you would like to request a custom quote from providers, we're typically looking at getting these quotes within 24 hours. So we've built some integrations with the record keepers on that side to allow for a more streamlined process on their end to get those quotes back to you faster. So you go ahead and check off who it is that you would like to include. Once you hit the compare quotes, that's when those record keepers are notified that you're including them in a report. If it's an instant quote, there is no additional action needed on their part. These are actionable quotes, so should the plan want to select one of these providers, the instant quote that's here, you can roll forward with it. The record keeper does have the opportunity, if they want to go in and refine their pricing, they are notified so that they can make that change. If they do want to change any of their pricing, you will get a notification from our system that, hey, Voya went in, they refined their pricing, here's your new quote. Any of your custom quotes, again, when you first build the report, they'll be listed here as pending responses. Once they get those notifications, they'll go in, they'll submit their pricing pretty quickly. You'll receive the notification and their pricing is in here and ready to go for you. If, say, you went out and you requested some quotes and ultimately you decide, oh, hey, I can't wait for Fidelity, I want to dismiss them, you can use the dismiss button. It'll save them down here in case that you need to come back to them at a later point in time. Otherwise, you can move on with the providers that you do have. You'll go ahead, click generate report, and your report will generate for you. So let's take a quick look through our report itself. So here on the first page, we have some opportunities where you can add your own custom branding. You can add your client logos. If you've seen a PlanFees report, it does have a similar look and feel to that. But however, we have the additional pages of this being actual live bids in here. So in here, just a quick introduction of our PRISM and what factors really go into plan pricing. We go through the plan assumptions, so disclosing what data points this plan was priced on, so what this pricing is contingent on. A new page that if you use our provider analysis, you won't have this in there. But again, to be able to accommodate some of those additional structures when there is a 316, maybe there's a 321 or 338 fiduciary on these plans, maybe that's yourself. We do have the capabilities now to set up those products. So this page will disclose any of those additional parties that are involved in the pricing quotes that we look at. You can look at multiple scenarios side by side. So if you want to look at, 2 different Voya options, you do have those capabilities within the report itself. The next page is our fee page. We report the fees here in the same structure that the rest of our, fee summaries typically show. So we'll show you the breakdown of the record keeping, the administration, the investments, and your advisory fees. So no matter how, again, these plan fees are paid, if they're paid through basis points, an asset charge, a combination, we're going to give you the total based on this point in time of, right now this plan has 1 million participants or $1 million and 10 participants. Through those different categories down at the bottom, we'll give you the totals expressed both as a percentage, a dollar amount, and then the average per participant cost. What you'll notice here, this first column is our plan fees average. So this is an optional field that you can check off when you're running your report. If you'd like to show where the average plan through the plan fees PRISM database is just through a simple click, we're also able to include showing that in your report without having to run any separate reporting or anything like that. So this report can accommodate both giving you a live bid look at pricing, as well as kind of that benchmark database of plans of the current size. So fees are obviously an important component when we look at doing our RFPs and doing our benchmarking, but they're not the only factor. So we did still want a service provider comparison. So where we don't have the 500 data points here that our provider analysis offers, our report here, you can see it's a total of 17 pages. So not the 20 to 100 pages you can get up to with those 500 data points. We did include about 30 to 40 data points here of some of the items that may be important to compare your different providers. So we'll look at, their assets under management, how many participants and plans they have based on the plans that this one is. So we have a plan of $1 million. We're going to show you plans in that asset threshold. Same thing, when we have participants, we'll pull the data specific to those kind of participant bands. In addition to their size and scale, we did get some feedback on some of the other hot topics that are really important to consider with our providers. So looking at, do they have a financial wellness solution? Do they offer a mobile app? Some of those key differentiators that you might find and want to point out to your plan sponsors. And the last sections of our report are just a one-pager for each provider where they can really give their value proposition and their little summary introduction. So any provider you include will have that background data that they've given to us as well. And that pretty much takes us through our report. Providers have the opportunity to add their disclosures. So again, since they are giving us plan pricing, any disclosures that are tied to their pricing that you might normally find in their proposals, they'll be able to include them here in your report. So they are documented as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Jesse.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, everyone. There's some great questions on that we'll be getting to. RFP Express is built on the PlanFees platform. For any advisors who access PlanFees today through RPAG and have the full PlanFees platform, you will be getting this RFP Express tool when we roll it out in January. If you are not subscribed to PlanFees and would like access to RFP Express, we just have to do that. Contact support@rpag.com or contact myself directly or Luke, my associate Luke Vandermillen Jr., and we'll be happy to set that up for you. If you are a subscriber to just the PlanFees tool directly through the retail capacity, there will be an option, an upgrade to subscribe to this, very, very low cost. And then for any of our broker dealer RIA partners out there, we're probably already in topics and discussions with you on getting this set up for your platforms and for your advisors. We are currently onboarding providers out there, really starting with the top 10 and 15 providers out there. So all the names that you know and recognize: Empower, Fidelity, Voya, Nationwide, T. Rowe Price, One America, Transamerica, Standard, Principal, Ascensus, Vanguard, CUNA, Northwest Plan Services, Vestwell, and many, many more. We'll really have the top 25 to 30 on this platform. And by the time we roll out, or by the end of first quarter, really focusing on those top 10 providers who get the vast majority of the proposals in our systems today. So we're excited to roll this out. We'll have a full list of providers, what their instant quote matrices go to, what those parameters are. That will all be put out in due time before the system goes live. And any of those complexities or parameters that might entail there. So more information to come. All right, the first question, great question here. Lisa sort of addressed this: collecting MEP and other multiple plan data. Yeah, the system is primarily geared towards single employer plans, 401ks. However, we will have MEP and PEP and other pooled plan solutions on this platform. We see this, and our provider partners see this as a great opportunity to quote the PEP platforms in a side-by-side to the traditional. Question on service frequency. We use that term to talk about how frequently. This is probably a question about Prism 365. Our advisor fee and benchmarking tool. When comparing advisor fees and services, you can say, yes, I provide investment analysis to my client. But for $1 million, for a $5 million client, there's a big difference in fees that you should be charging if you're meeting with that client once a year or 4 times a year. So service frequency is very important. How often are you talking and doing investment analysis? How frequently are you providing employee education? How frequently are you providing fiduciary or plan sponsor education? How often are you fee benchmarking? Service frequency is very, very important and should be a key driver of how you do that. Through RPAG, we have advisor fee calculators, we have Prism 365, we have practice management support. Be happy to talk with you about that. And how to set up those service plans for your clients to make sure you're not undercharging or overcharging your clients. Will RFP Express require client blessing, or anyone with Form 5500 run an RFP Express report, even if they don't have the relationship? Yeah, we definitely see this working really well in the prospecting world. It does not require a lot of information. If you've ever used the B3 or the provider analysis for a prospect, you know that it requires a lot of information from the incumbent provider, and we generally would recommend that you get an authorization letter from them saying that you're working with them to get this information. RFP Express only requires a dozen or so data points, and you don't even need to show the incumbent provider in the analysis if you don't want to. So 5,500 data or a little bit of fee disclosure from the plan sponsor is really all you need to show. And you can show the current provider and show their service capabilities there, depending on what information you have. We're working with our partners at Larkspur, Extrema, on 5,500 data integration, which will pull that information into the tool. That'll be coming early next year as well. So yeah, this does open itself up for more of those prospect opportunities compared to the traditional provider analysis. Great question. Can you add tiered asset-based advisory fees? That is a great piece of feedback. I believe we have that capability within our fee advisory fees tab of RPAG. This could be something that we will explore and discover. We are always weighing it, going back to my X and Y axis chart I had earlier in the webinar. We need to always be mindful of complexity and ease of use of a tool compared to the value you get out of it. So for us, We always look at that and say, hey, if we add this, does it add, is it an option? Is it every time? Is it required? Is it going to make it harder to utilize and get it out the door? But if we don't do it, does it sacrifice the accuracy and value? So we look at every single request in that through that lens, through that prism, no pun intended, that, yeah, that's what we do. So great question, something we'll consider. Is there a list of available providers that offer either instant or custom quotes? I mentioned that we'll have that list sent out, be part of the marketing collateral. We're working with all the top providers now and getting a better sense of what their limits or limitations are in terms of their instant quoting. And then, of course, that will change and evolve as we go along, right? Our goal is to have as much instant quote as possible across the board by all providers. And, you know, that might take some time, but we will have all providers on the platform, all top providers on the platform day one for getting at least custom quotes and then instant quotes for most of them. Is this service part of the current fees or will be an add-on, right? So if you have PlanFees today and you have the PlanFees plus Prism 365 service, most users have that, so they will get this their single sign-on through RPAG through a quick button. Really, really easy, similar to how you would utilize the PlanFees annual benchmarking today. If you don't have that, it will, if you don't have PlanFees at all, if you don't have access to that, there will be a small additional fee to utilize this RFP Express tool. And if you're a retail PlanFees user, there'll be a small additional fee per year. Great question about how the provider will be creating instant pricing without knowing the funds in the lineup, especially those record keepers that use certain funds like stable value funds and as their fee levers. Wonderful question here. We worked with all the providers over the past 12 months and really gearing up for this and getting a better understanding of how to do this and how they can offer that for many of the providers who look at this. They look at their proprietary funds, their target date funds, their stable value, and we work with them. And essentially what we've figured out is having a preset lineup for them. So that includes that stable value fund, that includes their target date suite. Oftentimes it's with a co-manufactured solution that we've already built with them that includes their stable value fund. And for some of those providers that need that, that's what we've done. Other providers, funds and proprietary funds is an issue. And so it's more, that's not as much of a consideration. But that's what we've done with those providers who haven't been able to provide instant quotes in the past, and really everything was custom. And we've worked with them to work this out. We'll have more information on that and what those lineups are as we get closer to launch date. If we're waiting for a provider to respond with pricing, is there a notification sent out when they actually respond to the pricing? Yes, absolutely. Providers will get a notification when you include them in instant. You'll get a notification that they're intending to sharpen their pencil or refine the quote, and you'll get a notification when that's completed to log back in and generate your report. Right? This is also built in a way that there may be situations where you have a meeting tomorrow with a prospect and you don't have time to get that refined quote, and you're only going to use instant. That might be a case where you're not going to see that extra fine. They might be getting back in 24 hours and you may already be out the door. We don't recommend that. That's not ideal. We always recommend giving yourself a couple of days, at least a couple business days beforehand to produce anything in case there is some change or edit or the provider wants to sharpen the pencil a bit. But we also understand sometimes, when duty calls, when a prospect calls and that's what you have and the time you have, there's no way around it. So there is a solution depending on how much time you have and need. Where are the investments being pulled from? This individual asks if their advisors must use a 338 platform. And this will work depending on your needs. Contact us. We can customize this and say, hey, these are the lineups specifically for your advisors, depending on the opportunity. So we can customize this for your firm and your advisors. Can you sort quotes low to high in the report? Yep, you can drag and drop. You can go alphabetical. You can sort them however you'd like to sort them. Really easy drag and drop interface. Great question. When can I get my hands on this? So excited to see it. We are expecting a January rollout. We're working every single day with our provider partners, getting them on board and testing out their pricing grids and matrices. And so we'll have some more information over the next 6 weeks. If we are prospecting and the prospect has a 401k, how can we run an analysis for them? Great question, right? So a few different ways. I think the RFP Express is a great way to say, hey, you have a 401k, let's benchmark it compared to these other providers. If you're looking for more of an investment analysis, right, that's what RPAG is for. You can run that through our tool and through the scorecard system and show them some fun considerations, recommendations. From a fee benchmarking perspective, RFP Express is great if you wanted to just start the conversation with them before getting the proposals. The regular Prism report, which shows the high, average, and low in the industry, is great there too. There's a variety of different ways that you can show different proposals to a prospect, and RFP Express is another great weapon for that. Can you include a selected TPA into the quote request? Yes, so this will show bundled and unbundled. Some of the MEP and PEP solutions, the TPA pricing will show up automatically, as there's often a preferred or a preset TPA or on those PEP solutions or exchange solutions. Some exchange solutions, like the ones that we have set up with Empower, is more of a bring your own TPA. So you as an advisor would put in the TPA fees, different than the provider analysis where you can put it in or send it to the TPA. With this tool, we said, hey, let's cut that time out. The fee schedule of your top TPAs, you can just put that right in their base plus per participant fee. So really easy to just type that in, adds it to the overall output. Where can we access the provider database or the cybersecurity information? Great question. So if you're an RPAG user and you want to run what we would call provider overview, services only, you'd go into the provider analysis tool, see the first option, which is provider only, click it, choose your providers, drag and drop and sort them in the right order. And you can get anywhere from a 1 to 25 page output or analysis of that. The cybersecurity information, you can hit that in 2 areas. One, if you just go into your plan details page, and if you look at the various report options at the bottom of your plan details page, all the way to the right under the fiduciary education tab, there is a cybersecurity report, and that will produce just for the set record keeper. If you want to show a side-by-side or a multi-provider report, same thing. You'd go into the provider analysis, to the provider overview, and choose the cybersecurity report option, and it would show those 100 or so data points. Or if you're doing a full live bid RFP through that tool, you can include those cybersecurity questions in that output, adding another, anywhere from 5 to 15 pages or so to the output. But there's a few different ways. Contact support at rpag.com, and Lisa and her team or any of the ASAs here can help you with that and teach you how to do that. Great question. What are exchange plans? Exchange plans are similar to a pooled plan. We have them set up with Transamerica, one with Empower. Great solutions, usually have a 338 with 316 associated to it. Very similar to a pooled plan, but it's not actually a pooled plan. Has a common lineup, a lot of efficiencies of scale. Really cool. Again, contact support at rpg.com, or any of our custom solutions team members can help you get a better understanding of those exchange plans. I'm sure we have some videos and resources on that too. Question, if we have a custom Me app for a pool plan program, can we have that entered as an option display? We are exploring this option for whether it's just for individual advisors. We're doing this right now, setting it up with larger groups and broker dealers and RIAs for individual advisors. Just contact us and we'll talk through this of how to get this built and show so you can make that easy for you and enable you to put that on the platform. So just let's have the conversation. Should not, and we can limit the product on that so only you are seeing that, not other advisors. So really easy to do that. Lisa, what is your email address? Right, the best one. So Lisa C at rpag.com or support@rpag.com and just ask for Lisa. That's another great way to get her. Support@rpag.com is great for whatever you're trying to know, and our support team handles and quarterbacks that out. Another question about PEP offering, same as the last response. We can work together and see how we can build that in the tool for you. Question, when is our PAG Regional coming to New York City? We can't wait to see you guys. We will be in Chicago, New York City, Orange County, and Tampa, Florida in the spring. Dates on those are to be released soon as we're finally in the contracts there, but we'll be out on the road once again to early in spring 2023. Can't wait to make the glorious return to the Big Apple. Are there additional fields completed when requesting custom quotes directly in RFP Express? No. Everything that you put in, the parameters of the plan, that's all that's going to go out there. It's a little different than provider analysis where the custom quote comes with here's the specific lineup and the allocation and what you'd like to see. This is a much more streamlined version of that. If you want to get a very, very customized and detailed quote and put in education days and really go best and final, that's why provider analysis still exists, right? This kind of fits that gap between the extremely detailed proposal and the less detailed annual fee benchmarking. Who at the provider is notified that we have used Instant Quote will be based on where you're located or an internal salespeople. We're working with all the providers in their central national sales desks. They will be capturing it, unlike the B3 today, where you can send it to your local wholesaler, put their email address in. This route is we're directing everything through the central desk, and they will be doling it out to the correct internal or their internal pricing team or to the regional wholesaler. Question on TPA fees, how they're factored in. They may be preset if it's a bundle, if it's even a third-party TPA that's bundled up like in a pooled plan solution or 316 type solution, or as an advisor, you'll be putting in those administrative fees on unbundled plans at the last step. Question on emails that we use to send out to prospects about benchmarking. We should have some of these in our content marketing package area on the resource center. I will look for those. And I think we used to even have some email cadences set up for prospecting on there, but great question. I've requested several RFPs for benchmarking purposes and the custodians reach out to me for help with the RPAG questionnaire. This has been frustrating. Who should I refer them to? Please just refer them to support@rpag.com. We work with providers all the time. This may be a case where these are providers who are not on our system, and which is pretty rare, but some smaller groups are on there. And if you're not on the full live bid RFP, then it may be a challenge for them. A quote come in. This came from a large provider, Transamerica. We work with the Transamerica sales desk. This may be a situation where it's a local wholesaler who's never used the tool before, or an internal. Transamerica gets thousands of these reports. They submit them, so it's pretty standard. Please, if they're having trouble, they can on their side of the portal. There's contact information for us. If anytime you're dealing with a provider, whether big or small, and new to the system, not new to the system, you don't have to take that on. You can just say, hey, contact support at rpag.com. They'll help you. We do this every single day with our provider partners, and we're happy to help them with that. All right. Well, that is it for our questions at this time. Thank you very much for everyone who's stuck around for this. Have a great day. Have a wonderful last 2 months of the year. We're really excited about RFP Express, and we'll be rolling out and sending out more information on the tool as we get closer to launch. But thank you for staying for this sneak peek at this tool. So thank you very much and take care.